Well, the alternative, sort of nationally, is psychiatric survivor.
That's what I am. That's what I claim.
You're a psychiatric
Yes.
survivor.
Yes.
Now, the survivor movement, or end of the movement, says basically there's never anything wrong. There is no such thing really as mental illness.
There isn't.
People say they're just people.
There isn't. It's all made up. Who does the DSM? Okay, we won't get started.
From behind the camera person's.
Yeah. You hit a chord. Yeah. You hit a nerve.
I mean, the only reason I
feel-
say there's no such thing as mental illness is because it's all contrived. There's no blood test. There's nothing.
It is a construct.
It is. And that's why I'm not.
to believe I had a neurobiological brain disorder.
Have they
because
ever
my very,
told you what it is?
my
I
very,
got so pissed off when I was told I had major depression and I needed to take certain medications, and I
And there
said,
was a chemical
"What?
imbalance.
Yeah, and a
I
chemical
said,
imbalance. You have a
what?
neurobiological
haven't
brain
given me a
disorder.
And they got
test
no
yet."
evidence.
Oh, he was mad.
And what they
then
did
the
do-
diagnosis changed.
but listen, what
Borderline
they did do-
personality, I bet.
Then you became borderline when you refused to accept that one diagnosis.
Schizoaffective disorder.
Very effective. How about schizo-effective?
Ooh, wow.
Effective, yeah.
But what do you do when you actually, I was in the hospital because all these different meds, I was in a myriads, I was in the med merry-go-round for 18 months, and I couldn't get stabilized, and the doctors were saying, well, we just think that you're not med compliant. Well, what the heck do I do if I'm not med compliant? I mean, 18 months of my life just being just a wreck, and Zyprexa and Depakote and all these different things, and getting all these weird reactions, Lamictal, and all these, the Depakote damaged my liver, and so I was on that for 3.5 years. But I went into a hospital setting to do a clinical trials for Topamax. So I was in the hospital for 30 days. Well, I was having all these adverse effects to the Topamax. I mean, I lost 17 pounds in a month, and that was a good thing, but it was like my feet were tingling, my head was killing me, my vision was affected, I couldn't sleep. I went for 6 and 7 days sleeping maybe an hour a day, and I was just wound so tight, I knew I was fixing to snap. So what they did was they sent a neurologist in to see me, and they told me brain mapping, brain scan, brain this, we're going to test that. And they came back to me, and what kind of turned me over to thinking there was some truth to this, with not having any knowledge, not knowing anybody, not having any information, was when he came back and said, oh yeah, you're by your brain mapping and your brain scan, and we've injected you with radioactive isotopes, and we lit up your brain. He said, and your neurotransmitters are rapid firing 30% faster than the average human, and we find that with people with bipolar disorder.
But
so that was a thing to me.
But you were on
I
a
know.
drug that was causing that.
And they were like, yeah, your that's what I knew. That's where the neurobiological brain disorder came in. It was like your neurotransmitters are rapid firing 30% faster than the average human.
After you started taking Topamax.
Yes, and then they had to titrate me down, and then it was like,
Did they redo it?
Huh?
Without
No,
the Topamax?
no, they didn't.
So it was a side effect they were making.
Yeah, it was.
There have been no consistent biological markers have been found for any major psychiatric disorder. None. They've done PET scans, and they did a study of 20 studies of PET scans, and these PET scans are sensitive enough to determine whether your eyes are open or closed.
Okay.
And what they found is they all averaged out. So there's no significant difference, because people are individuals. Everybody has their own particular chemistry. There's no chemical balance. There's your balance, there's your balance, your balance, my balance, and it changes over time. The other biggest evidence is people like myself. I was certified crazy.
Papers approve it.
Yeah, papers prove it. I fit all the criteria for schizophrenia. Yeah. And you know what? I've been on any medication for 30 years. Now, if it were an intrinsic, permanent, biological, chemical imbalance, that could never happen, right?
No.
Never, ever happen. Now, I'm not alone. The Vermont,
No, you're not.
No, the Vermont study, they had 269 people that they followed over a 30-year period in Vermont. Courtney Harding study. At the end of 30 years, and these were people 5 years on average in a state hospital, diagnosed with schizophrenia and met the criteria, but they were put into a program which was very recovery oriented, where they believed that people could recover, and they got support, some of which were peer support in the community. This is in the 50s in Vermont, very progressive. 40% at the end of that period were deemed totally recovered and no medication. 40%. We're talking 40% of 270 people. What does that come to? That's nearly 100 people. This is not an aberration. You know, if I get up, or Judy Chamberlain gets up, or Pat Deegan gets up, I mean, we're all off medication. We get up, they say, you know, you're an exception. You were never really ill. But they can't do that when there's study after study and person after person. Just can't do it anymore. And our very existence, and I think that's one reason they try to invalidate us, our very existence is a critique right away that it's permanent.